Collins English Readers. A Murder is Announced by Agatha Christie. Text copyright 2020 Agatha Christie Limited. All rights reserved. Recording copyright 2020 Agatha Christie Limited. All rights reserved. A Murder is Announced and Agatha Christie are registered trademarks of Agatha Christie Limited in the United Kingdom and elsewhere. All rights reserved. Read by Gabrielle Glaister. Chapter 1. Between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. every morning, except Sundays, Johnny Butt, the newspaper boy, rode around the village of Chipping Cleghorn on his bicycle. At Colonel and Mrs. Easterbrook's he delivered the Times, at Mrs. Swettenham's the Times and the Daily Worker, at Miss Hinchcliffe and Miss Murgatroyd's the Daily Telegraph, and at Miss Blacklock's the Times, the Daily Telegraph, and the Daily Mail. And at practically every house, every Friday, he delivered a copy of the local paper, the Chipping Cleghorn Gazette, known simply as the Gazette. Thus, on Friday mornings, most inhabitants of Chipping Cleghorn eagerly opened the Gazette and turned to the personal section. Here were items for sale or wanted, advertisements for domestic help, announcements concerning chickens and ducks, and various other items of interest to those living in Chipping Cleghorn. This particular Friday, 29th October, when Mrs. Swettenham's son Edmund entered the room, his mother was reading the personal section. "Good morning, dear. The Smedleys are selling their car," said Mrs. Swettenham. Her son grunted, sat down, and opened the Daily Worker. "I do wish you wouldn't read that awful paper, Edmund. You aren't even a worker." "That's not true," said Edmund, irritated. "I'm writing a book." "I meant real work," said Mrs. Swettenham, continuing to read the personal section. "Desk for sale, genuine family antique. A marriage is announced. No, a murder." "What?" "Edmund, listen to this. A murder is announced and will take place on Friday the 29th of October at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. Friends, please accept this, the only notice." "Well, that's today. What does it mean, Edmund?" "Well, it must be some sort of party," he replied. "A murder game thing." "Oh," said Mrs. Swettenham. "It seems very odd. Not at all like Letitia Blacklock, who's such a sensible woman. What happens at a murder game?" "Everyone takes pieces of paper out of a hat. Somebody's the victim and somebody else is a detective. And then they turn the lights out and somebody taps you on the shoulder, and then you scream and lie down and pretend to be dead." "It sounds quite exciting," said Mrs. Swettenham. "Archie," said Mrs. Easterbrook to her husband, "listen to this. A murder is announced and will take place on Friday 29th October, that's today, at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. Friends, please accept this, the only notice." "Ah, a murder game," he said. "They can be good fun." "I suppose it's an invitation," said his wife. "It's a funny kind of invitation," replied the Colonel. "Well, I'm not getting involved." "But, Archie, you know so much about police work. The game won't be a success if you don't go and help." Mrs. Easterbrook, 30 years younger than her husband, put her pretty blonde head on one side and opened her blue eyes wide. "Well, all right, if that's what you think, Laura." Colonel Easterbrook smiled kindly at his sweet little wife. The Gazette had also been...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?